Up guys, welcome to another gardening video on my channel. My name is Spunks. So yeah guys, sorry that I've been MIA with the gardening stuff. A lot has been happening. I'll probably let you guys know about what has happened, later on. But yeah, today we have a good one. So a lot of people have asked me how to start a garden. I should do a video on how to start a garden, and here I am. So today is gonna be just a few tips on how to do a garden, and yeah, guys, I hope you enjoy. I'm back. Yeah, so the first tip I would give you is start with what you have. Now, not everybody has a lot of ground to deal with and to make a garden with. What I would suggest is that if you don't have a lot of ground, right, get I've seen people use plastic bags and then fill them with soil and then plant in those plastic bags. So for me, I think that's a really resourceful way, especially if you don't have a lot of um, especially if you don't have a lot of ground, and also you don't have the expenses to, and you also don't have the resources to get like pots and stuff. I think that's a really clever way to make use of things that we would just throw away. So that's one. And then also obviously there's pots you can also do in pots, and most of the time growing in pots is similar to just growing in the ground. Yeah, so if you have a lot of ground to deal with and you wanna make a garden, I would suggest either doing a raised bed, or another way that I really like is covering the ground with cardboard, newspapers. I'm sorry if there's wind, guys, winter things. So you can cover it with newspaper, cardboard, and then lay it on that ground, and then um, let that let the grass underneath that cardboard die, and then you can plant in there. Another, also, if you don't like, if you have also like leaves and stuff over that cardboard, you can lay leaves or even soil if you have that, and that's a really great way to start a garden. Have cardboard, lay it onto the ground, just lay it on the ground, and then water, cardboard, newspaper, lay it on the ground, water that cardboard so that it doesn't fly around and stuff, and then place, if you have the resources, place leaves or soil on top of that cardboard, so that it quickens the decomposition the of the cardboard and newspaper. So I think that's a nice method for me personally. I really enjoy that method because it's a lot easier than digging, and it also preserves the fungus and the worms that are in underneath the grass. And then another way is a raised bed. Now, I haven't really done a raised bed, so I'm gonna link a video where they did a raised bed, and they show a really detailed way of how to do a raised bed. Their method was basically they had um, they had like logs. They had a raised bed, and then they put logs in at the bottom of the raised bed, and then they filled it with soil. Now that's, for me, is the problem with a raised bed, is that not a lot of people have just a lot of soil at their disposal. I don't have soil at my disposal like that, so I would prefer not to be able to just put in soil and stuff. So that's why I haven't done a raised bed. But I thought this one, if you have the soil, it's a really good method. And then you put the soil on top, and then that's the raised bed. So now the logs add moisture, and I think also as it decomposes, it adds more nutrients to the soil. So I thought that was a good video. So if you would like to do a raised bed, in the description. And then my second tip would be the location. You need to choose the right location. You need to choose the location that has a lot of sun. You see, in my garden, For me, I don't think I chose the most optimal location because it doesn't get a lot of sun um, throughout the day. It gets it gets sun, but it doesn't get the most sun. You see, I think there's a patch. I could have done it in the middle where it gets a lot more sun. But I think the most important thing is to choose your location properly and like see which parts of the garden get the most sun, and by doing that you can literally plant anything, you know. So yeah, number two, location. And then my third tip is buying seeds. So now this is gonna be okay. So basically, for me personally, I like starting everything from seed. I just think it's more natural. I think it's more I think it just connects with me more, you know. But obviously you can start things indoors and then bring them outside. For me, I don't like that just because of the transplant shock and stuff. But I understand that with some crops, you would have to start it inside. So what I would suggest is that round about now in winter time is probably the best time to be getting seeds because it's cheaper, and when you buy in spring, they inflate the prices a lot because they know people are now starting. So I would say right about now is probably the right time to be plant is to be getting your seeds, you know. And then what you can do is just use the back of the packets to see when is the right time to be planting, how much space you need to have in between the seeds, and if they can actually grow just by direct sowing or if you're gonna need a pot. I just enjoy buying seeds as compared to buying starters or whatever else. I just enjoy buying the seeds. So for me, the next tip is for me the most exciting one, and I don't know why, but for me it's preparing the bed and mulching. So if you don't know what mulching is just putting organic matter over the garden or over the soil so that it retains moisture, and then it also adds nutrients to the garden. So every time you water, all those nutrients that is in that mulch seeps through to the soil and adds more nutrients, right? So for me, the type of mulch that I use is usually leaves, grass cuttings. Um, Someone even on Instagram asked me a question of if they can use cow dung, and that's also another great resource that you can lay on top, and then as you water and as it decomposes, it's gonna add more nutrients to the garden. I think there's like I think dog poop and animal like domestic animals. I think those are the ones that you need to steer away from. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure here. Yeah, I think in winter is the perfect time to be preparing your bed because not a lot of things, as you can see, are growing. So it's the perfect time to now let your garden rest and just put a lot of cover so that the soil also doesn't deteriorate. As you can see, I just have a lot of, as you can see, I just have a lot of leaves just on top of the garden, and I want to add more, just so that you can never really get enough. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, mulch, and you know what I would steer away from in terms of preparing the bed is digging or like forking stuff, making those holes. For me, I just don't think it helps the garden in any way. What I like to have as a reference is it done in nature? So I look at nature and I don't see anyone digging in nature. You get birds plucking and stuff, but you don't see people digging. And for me, I just don't enjoy the whole thing of plowing and thing because the worms that are there, you're disturbing them. the fungus that is there, you're disturbing them. So I just think, and also you pushing the bottom soil to the top soil, and it's making it just, it's not making healthy soil at the end of the day. So yeah, mulch and preparing, get your leaves, just place on top. That's the best advice that I can say. um, Also, you can use banana peels, um, any peels that you have, potato peels, whatever peels that you have in the house, put them on top, and it will add nutrients to the garden. Yeah, guys. So even when you have, let's say, spinach, right? Let's say you have spinach leaves that have gone off, or you just don't think they look pretty enough. Put them on the ground, like next to where you have the spinach. Put it on the ground, and it will die off. Add more nutrients to that spinach. Give it back to the soil. Take what do they say? Take and give back, something like that. So yeah, man, I would say definitely right now, or even in the beginning of winter, is the best time to be preparing your bed. Okay, and then we have watering. Now, another reason why I like the mulch and the organic matter is because they add its own moisture, number one, and also they, when you water, they retain that water that you've used. So you won't have to water as much as you would normally if it was just bare. So So a recommendation for me, it depends. I think it also depends on the type of crop that you have. Um, I've heard that tomatoes don't really like wet conditions. Also, potatoes, you know. But then, for me, I think a good estimate to have is probably maybe every 3 days. Every 3 days. So if you're gonna water, then you must water maybe 2 times in a week. But this is just my estimate. You can, I think what you need to do is also go off of what your soil is doing. So just put your finger in there, and then if it's dry and you can literally, there's no residue on your fingers, then probably you need to water. But if you put your finger in and you come up and there's residue, I think it means that you fine with the watering. Don't over water, you know, um, because some plants might not like that. But then don't underwater. I think just check your soil. But I think a nice estimate is 2 times a week, 3 times a week, and you should be fine. And then we have harvesting. Now this is probably one of my cons that I don't really plan for, which is harvesting, so, and canning and stuff like that. So basically, for me, I whenever there's crops, I plug them and I put them in the fridge, and I probably could do things like canning, um, freezing them, and stuff. So for me, I think that's one thing that I think I need to get better at. But that's another thing, you need to prepare for the amount of harvests that you're gonna be getting, and also prepare for how much, uh, when, or how much is going to be coming in when you do harvest. Yeah, man, I think I have to still work on that. Maybe you guys can help me on that. And yeah, man. Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys. So I want to say thank you to everyone that subscribed. I'm getting a lot of support from the gardening stuff, and I just want to say thank you, guys. It means too much to me, and we've reached 600 already. So I want to try and get to 1,000. That's like my goal. And yeah, guys. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video that I'm gonna do again now. Yeah, guys. So love, peace, and grow something.